This is a Regal Cinema located in the Lehigh Valley in northeastern Pennsylvania. I've spent many of my high school years at this theater with high school friends and even first dates, seeing a lot of films here, including Hostel, House of a Thousand Corpses, Freddy vs. Jason, mainly horror movies. In October of 2020, due to the pandemic, Regal cinemas across the country began to shut down. This building is, well, empty. And its only reminder that it was once open are the signs reminding patrons to wear masks and take safety precautions regarding COVID-19. The pandemic really did take a toll on the movie theater industry. Cinemas across the country attempted to reduce capacity limits and attempted to survive throughout this mess. However, in a lot of cases, like Regal Cinemas, they had to close down due to state government restrictions. But Regal Cinema isn't the only cinema that is suffering. The global giant AMC has declared that they might run out of money before 2020 is over. And it is obvious due to the empty lobbies, the empty concession stands, and the empty hallways. There is one side to the movie theater industry, however, that did manage to survive and boom during the summer of 2020, and that was the American tradition of the drive-in theater. Because of indoor cinemas closing throughout the country, moviegoers flocked to these outdoor venues to escape reality and to get their fix of movies on the big screen. In this video, we're going to focus on the Mahoning Drive-In Theater, which is located in the small Pennsylvania town, Lehigh-In. I went for the first time with my friend Jay to the Mahoning Drive-In to check out Monster Mania, which is a horror convention that takes place in New Jersey every year. However, because of the pandemic, the convention had to do something a little different this year. So they joined forces with the Mahoning Drive-In to bring Monster Mania to the outdoors, to the drive-in theater.
So you come here often? Hey, where are you going? Come back. There you go. Come on up. Come on.
This year's Monster Mania, like any other Monster Mania during any other year, felt like a giant party, just this time with people wearing masks and trying their best to be safe during uncertain times. But it was pretty awesome to see people come together to celebrate Monster Mania, people who are so dedicated to the convention and people who are so dedicated to the Mahoning Drive-In, since they did kind of develop a cult following. People came to dress up, to hang out with old friends, and just to kind of have a good time at the drive-in theater. The Mahoning Drive-In Theater is a pretty unique venue. It's a pretty unique and different kind of drive-in theater. Their screenings are more like events. And look, there's Tom Savini right there. We went to the Mahoning on Halloween night, where they were showing the original Halloween and Halloween 3 on 35mm. In fact, all screenings at the Mahoning are only on 35mm. That's one of the rules of the Mahoning. In fact, I got to see some of the behind-the-scenes action of how they prepare for a 35mm screening. What are you doing right now?
Right now I'm inspecting the film, and I'm inspecting it for breaks or torn sprocket holes and overall consistency in the film, because we want to make sure the film runs through the gate properly. So we have a lot of splicing tape right here. It's a little questionable, but I think it might be able to run through. It might be able to run through, but so a little shortcut I do just to make sure the holes are totally open is that I just simply take the splicer and punch the hole in the tape. Yes. And now the holes are clear, and this should be able to run through the projector just fine. And that's what I do, and we do this every reel. Every reel. Yep. Each and every reel before it runs through those projectors are inspected first prior to the show, and any corrections that are made, make them now. Any screw-ups that can be done, let's screw up now. Actually, we want to avoid screw-ups. This is why we inspect film. So this is a lot of fun. I'm not too sure. This might run through. Go ahead, take this off, and we're going to go ahead and put this right here.
And the Mahoning Drive-In feature.
What I like to do,
LVAC are good friends who do
keep a piece of the film out so you know which reel it is. So it's clearly marked. Well, this wasn't marked, so I had to mark it. Reel 5. This is clearly marked, so I don't have to do with anything here. We always leave the films out so we can identify which reel it is.
That makes sense. I also met Virgil, the owner of the Mahoning Drive-In Theater. He's a very eccentric, a very fascinating, and a very passionate human being. I followed him to his radio booth, which is also in the projection booth, and he told me his story of him and the drive-in.
You know what, I'm just going to go on the air. How about that? Alright guys, so we got our main man, do you go by Larry or Lawrence? Lawrence in the house, and I couldn't believe it when he told me it's his first time here. We've been Facebook buds and followers of each other's work for quite some time, but we're telling him about the radio booth and when we got it installed, and Tony's here with us who installed the radio booth here, and it was 2016, and the idea behind the radio booth was to really get the experience inside of your ears. Since we have a captive audience here, waiting for an amazing fan experience, why not give them some themed music, some background to the theater, some stories, things like that. And it just captured my heart for sure, but certainly the crew's. Tony comes in and does regular DJ sets. Carl comes in and does regular DJ sets.
That's right, baby.
That's right. And it's just an extension of what we do now. And I'm a big fan of podcasts, and we are, not to break any big news here, but working on a podcast for the off season that I think you guys will really love. But the thing I love about podcasts, there's something insanely intimate about when somebody's voice lives inside your ear. It becomes part of you. And that's the big appeal of the Mahoning Drive-In Theater in general, is that it's a community, it's a family. It's, I always said in the press and when we first started, it's like the cinematic Cheers, where everybody starts to know your name and you feel like you have a place. So now that the pandemic has hit, it really put us in the most insane position to be able to offer people an essential escape. And we had so many people come up to us this weekend, since it might be their last time, and say, you guys saved me this year. You know what I mean? I don't know what I would have done with my sanity if I had no outlet or no means to get out of my head. And that's the big blessing and gift that keeps on giving with the Mahoning. Is it's obviously a great theater. We do unmatched programming, all that fun stuff. But the fact that it inspires people, allows people to, again, get out of their heads or escape whatever craziness they have in their lives, that's a blessing we never asked for, you know? And now, as it stands, we're the only 100% 35mm drive-in in the whole country, showing classic 35mm films as they should be presented. And it's a dream come true. Hollywood's embracing us. Savini is here. There's many a moment where I just have to pinch myself and be like, what world is this? How did this happen? I have to thank all you guys for coming out. I know we have a lot of new fans. That was the idea with crossing two powerhouses of Monster Mania and the Mahoning Drive-In Theater. It brings two like-minded fan bases right together. So I know you guys are having a great time out there. Again, having the ability to celebrate Halloween in a safe way. And again, huge shout out to the parents for bringing their munchkins and doing the work for us by passing on the love of the drive-in to the next generation. Because that's really how I fell in love with the drive-in. I was 13 years old when I started talking about running a drive-in movie theater. Kids at 13 don't talk about running drive-ins, so the power that it had over me and the experience that I had with my family going to the drive-in every weekend was staggering and really set my life on a whole other path. And if I could go back and tell the 13-year-old me, like, hey, it's going to be the coolest drive-in ever, I'd never believe it. And the fact that I get to run it with my best friends, that's probably the biggest appeal. You probably know I'm a big Kevin Smith guy. And that was the whole appeal, and why I loved him so much is he found a way to get his voice out there while being himself, while working with his friends, while, you know, kind of working his community and voice. And I feel like in a weird way, we have not only dipped our toes into this this culture, this cinematic culture, but we're leading the way as far as showing people what a drive-in can be in the new era, you know? It's a touch of modern with all the cool stuff we do and all the guests and the fan experience, but it's so set in its old ways. We're running on projectors that were made in 1947, have been running since 49. So that type of mashup of the young and old is, I think, the real secret to our success. That's kind of the long and short of it, but again, we can't thank you guys enough for making the trip out here and enjoying it with us, you know? And yeah, we're going to keep the music rocking for you. Costume contest is going to be at 7 o'clock tonight. As soon as that's over, we hit the screen with classic trailers, maybe a little secret surprise, and then Halloween and Halloween 3 on classic 35mm.
After speaking with Virgil, it was time for the sun to set, time to get ready for the Monster Mania tradition, the costume contest, which was pretty amazing to watch.
Uh-oh. Wow, that looks awesome. Your real name?
Sheila.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Sheila, and Sheila's character is?
The Driller Killer from Slumber Party Massacre 2. Yeah! Woo!
She is the Driller Killer from Slumber Party Massacre 2. Uh-oh, I think she wants to drill me. Your names are? This is Sheila. This is Diego, and... You couldn't time that. Did you sneeze or something? Let's try this again. And your name is? That was amazing. What's her name? Her name is Molly? Okay, I'm sorry. Your name, sir?
Clark.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Clark, and Clark's character is?
I'm just Clarkin.
He's just Clarkin. Let's hear it for Clark. And our next contestants are a duo. Your names would be? This is Karen and? This is Karen and Emmett, who just got stabbed. And your characters would be?
Casey Becker.
She's Casey Becker and? Steve Orth. And Steve Orth from?
And he's my boyfriend, and he's big, and he plays football, and he can kick your butt.
All right. Let's hear it for the Scream duo.
Even though I'm pretty bummed that my first time at the Mahoning Drive-In Theater was the last weekend of their season, I'm still pretty grateful I got to experience something pretty unique, and that something is the Mahoning Drive-In itself. It offers an escape from reality during harsh and uncertain times, and thanks to Virgil and his team of dedicated and passionate cinephiles and their passion for preserving the art of film itself, they proved that the drive-in theater is not dead, and the drive-in theater is just more than going to the movies. It's an experience, it's an adventure, and it's a community. And according to Virgil, the Mahoning Drive-In Theater itself is kind of one giant family, whether you're an employee or a patron. It's difficult to predict whether indoor cinemas will return to how they once were, but until that day comes, long live the drive-in theater.